Put on a Spanish film without subtitles, and the dialogue can feel like it is being fired at you. Put on something in Mandarin, and it feels slower, heavier, more deliberate. And you are not imagining it. Spanish really is spoken with more syllables per second than Mandarin. That part is measured, and it is real. But here is the twist that makes this one of my favorite findings in linguistics. Welcome back to How Languages Work. Today, why speech speed is not what you think it is, and the number that every language seems to circle. Part 1. Yes, some languages really are faster. In 2011, Francois Pellegrino and colleagues at the University of Lyon took 20 short texts, translated them from English into 6 other languages, and had around 60 native speakers read them aloud. Same content, same meaning, different mouths. Then they counted syllables per second, and the differences are not subtle. Japanese and Spanish came out at the top at just over 7.8 syllables every second. Mandarin came out at the bottom. So if you are a Spanish learner and you feel like everyone is talking too fast, you are not making it up. A Spanish speaker really is producing about 50% more syllables per second than a Mandarin speaker. Part 2. So why does nobody run out of time? Here is what should bother you. If Spanish pushes out 50% more syllables per second, a Spanish speaker should finish the same story in about 2/3 of the time. That is not what happens, because syllables are not the unit that matters. What matters is how much information each one carries, and that turns out to be wildly different from language to language. And here is where almost every explanation of this online gets it wrong, including the one I nearly gave you. It is not that Mandarin has more possible syllables. It actually has fewer than Spanish. It is that a Mandarin syllable is harder to predict. What actually differs is how much each syllable narrows things down. In Mandarin, nearly every syllable is a fresh piece of meaning. Spanish spends a lot of its syllables on endings, an agreement that you could have guessed from the syllable before. So a language whose syllables are easy to predict has to send more of them. A language whose syllables are hard to predict can afford to send fewer. And when you measure both sides, they come much closer to canceling out than anybody expected. Part 3. The number. In 2019, the same research group scaled the whole thing up. 17 languages, 15 texts about everyday situations, 10 native speakers each. And this time, they measured information in actual bits. And the languages were genuinely different. Information density ran from about 5 bits per syllable at the low end up to about 8 at the high end. Speech rates varied just as much. But multiply those two numbers together, how much each syllable carries, times how many syllables you send, and all 17 languages land in a far narrower band than their speech rates would suggest. The average comes out at about 39 bits per second. Languages that share almost nothing, different families, different sound systems, different grammar, all landing in the same window. Part 4. So let's do what we always do here. Where is the source? Science Advances, September 2019. 17 languages, 170 speakers, open access with every per language figure in the supplement. The design is solid. But now I have to be careful with you because the internet has turned this into something the paper never claimed. The trade-off itself, faster languages carrying less in each syllable, has been found again and again in study after study. That part is solid, but the specific number, 39 bits per second, has never been independently replicated by another laboratory. And in 2024, a study in Nature Human Behavior went much wider, 998 languages, and found that the compensation is real but incomplete. Speed and density do not fully cancel out. So treat 39 as a striking pattern across 17 languages, not a law of nature. So let me put the verdict plainly, that faster languages carry less per syllable, well supported, that every language hits exactly 39 bits a second, not established, and the 17 languages studied were all European or Asian. The pattern is real, the universal law is not proven, and be careful with the word bits. It measures how predictable each syllable is, given the one before it. It is not a measure of meaning or nuance or beauty. No study measures that. And with all of that said, what survives is still remarkable. Whatever machinery a language uses, long words, short words, tones, cases, endings, the ones that sprint through syllables are consistently the ones carrying less in each one. Something is pushing them together. Part 5. Why this matters for you. First, the honest reason Spanish sounds fast to you. It is not that Spanish is dense, it is the opposite. Spanish is spread thin across a lot of small, quick syllables, and your ear has to track more of them per second, which means part of what you are missing is not vocabulary at all. It is segmentation, cutting the stream into separate words. Vocabulary still matters more than anything else. You cannot segment a word you do not know. But when you know the words on the page and still cannot catch them in speech, segmentation is the gap. Second, a word about slowing audio down, because popular advice gets this backwards. The research actually supports it. In one training study, the learners trained on slower recordings improved their bottom-up listening the most. What slowing cannot do is put back sounds that got swallowed. Those stay swallowed, just longer. And third, the one I want you to actually keep. If every language delivers about the same amount per second, then no language is inherently harder to listen to. Spanish is not fast because Spanish is hard. It is fast because its syllables are small. There is still something quietly wonderful in it. Languages built by people who never met, using completely different machinery, and the fast ones keep turning out to be the ones carrying less per syllable. Your homework. Find 1 minute of audio in your target language that is genuinely too fast for you. Listen to it 5 times this week. Then tell me in the comments what you caught on the 5th pass that you missed on the 1st. And if a fast language feels a little less intimidating now, subscribe, because next time, why you can understand every word in a sentence and still have no idea what it means. Sources are below. See you in the next one. Nos vemos.